Lovie Smith is back in the NFL as a head coach, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I could not be more pleased. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that he deserves another opportunity to be a head coach on the NFL level. And I don't know why Bears Twitter has decided to make this a new issue. What are we doing out here? Why is Bears Twitter and Bears social media and everything, why are we at odds with each other? Can we not agree that David Montgomery is a good running back? Can we not agree that we're going to keep Justin Fields as our starting quarterback for the foreseeable future? And Lovie Smith, why are we upset at Lovie Smith? If anything, we let Lovie Smith down by giving him the quarterback play that, let's be honest. I don't know. Our guest, I don't want to speak for anybody or anything like that, but I think that we could have done a little bit of a better job providing him with some offensive stability during his time as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And I'll be perfectly truthful with you. For most of you, not some old heads like me, but for most of you, Lovie Smith was the best coach in your history. You don't remember Ditka. You're too young. And so for you to sit here and take shots at Lovie Smith, it's uncalled for, and I'm fired up. And this is Take It to the Ranking. You know what, Sammy? Let's start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
Trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the Sick Podcast, everybody. Adam Rank here on a Tuesday night Super Bowl week, and I'll be honest with you right now. I have had some great fun. If you've been watching my antics on the NFL Network, me and Bridget Condon, we have been at Venice Beach. We have been at Warner Brothers Studio Hollywood, doing a lot of great things. I was in front of the Batmobile today. The Batmobile, the one driven by Michael Keaton, not Batman 66, but the Michael Keaton one that a lot of us cherish to this day. Nothing is as cool as what I am about to do right now, because somebody who's joining the show right now is a former SEC Defensive Player of the Year, a three-time All SEC performer, two-time All-America. He was a fourth-round draft pick of the Chicago Bears back in the day, played on our Super Bowl team, and he is one of the better follows on social media. So without further ado, let's bring on Alex Brown to be joining us. Alex,
what's up?
Goodness. Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to be in your presence. How are you?
Oh man, I'm fantastic. I'm super pumped about this. I've been thinking about it all day. My wife tells me, she's like, "Hey, make sure you don't forget the show. All right, don't forget the show. You gotta go." Because I was at my daughter's. They had a basketball game tonight, so she's like, "All right, you gotta go do the show." So we're super excited about it. I mean, it's a good time. I mean, I respect what you do. I respect what you say. I believe you know football. So to sit on here and have a conversation with you is fantastic. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate it. I hope your daughter's not upset with us for making us. You didn't miss the game, did you? You didn't miss the whole game or anything like that?
They were up by 30, so we're good.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, it's a blowout. Okay, that's all good. It's long. I don't want her upset. That's the last thing I want. I don't want to upset the family or anything like that. But it's kind of an exciting time for the Chicago Bears. Excuse me. Matt Eberflus is the new head coach of the team. How do you feel about that hire?
I'm a defensive guy. Yeah. So getting a defensive guy back in the helm, and a football guy, a guy that believes in development, a guy that believes in running to the football, a guy that believes in holding guys accountable and making them do their job. And if you're not going to do your job, then they'll get somebody else in there to do your job. And now he's putting people around him that seemingly believe the same thing. So, and now, I mean, I love it simply because we're going back to a 4-3.
Yeah.
4-3 in my mind is not a trick 'em defense. I went down to the Saints for a year. They ran a 3-4. And when you get those four linebackers moving around, you're wanting the offense to think four are coming from this way, when in actuality, four are coming from this way. In a 4-3, it doesn't matter. I mean, the quarterback, they know if it's too high safety, they have an idea of what you're in. If it's one high safety, they have an idea. So it's up to that front four to get to the quarterback, and I love that.
Yeah, I really like it too. And I love the philosophy, and I love that he's coming in, and the guys that he is going to count on in his defense are spots where the Bears are really strong in. And of course, I think of Darius Leonard and what he was able to do with Matt Eberflus. And then I can't help but think of what Roquan Smith is what he's going to be able to do with this defense. How do you think this benefits a player like him?
Oh, I think he's gonna learn pretty quickly that there's another level he can go just by being in better shape. I think when you look at Roquan, he's a hell of a player. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a really good player, but he can be better because if he can be a little bit faster, I mean, that's all it takes. That's the difference, right? That's the difference between the guys that are special and the guys that are great, right? Like special is that old saying where it says you lost a step or you lost a half a step. Well, that half a step is what made him special, right? So if he can get in, if Eberflus can help him gain that half a step, whew, man, then there wouldn't be an argument when we're talking about he, Warner, and those guys. I think he would be a clear cut half a step ahead of those guys, because being a full step ahead of those guys is saying a whole lot. You know, they're really good.
No, 100%. And I know one of the things that he mentioned when he came in during his introductory press conference was that he warned the players that they were going to have to put on their track shoes. They were going to be in better shape. Now, as a former player, if you were sitting there on a team and your incoming head coach said that, would you be fired up, or would you be like, oh, I don't want to deal with this, I'm going to run too much? You know what?
I know you're really good at this. So you must have did your homework on this one, because I have a great story about this, and I'm sure you heard it. Okay,
I might have heard it. Listen, I want to hear. It's not good if I tell this story. I want you to tell this story.
True. So Lovie, I'm 2004. Lovie comes in. I'm sitting in Puerto Rico. I'm 282 pounds. Okay, 282, and that's as big as I've ever been. So, and Lovie, because in Dick Duran and Coach Bloch's defense, you had to be bigger. There were bigger guys. You had Ted Washington and Keith, and then the defensive ends, Daniels and Brian Robinson. They were all 300 plus. So me, I'm coming in. I'm 250. They're like, you need to gain some weight. So, and then Lovie comes in. I get a phone call in Puerto Rico. I'm on the beach with a Corona in my hand, and Coach Smith is like, well, Alex, we're going to need you to lose some weight. It's like, okay, sure. When? Oh, well, when you get back. That's in like 2 months. Well, how much weight? Oh, we need you around 50. Oh, my God. So that's 32 pounds I need to get rid of before I get back. And needless to say, I mean, I couldn't do that. I got down to about 262, and that was 2004. And then when I really think I took a step forward as a defensive end, as a complete defensive end, was in 2005. And that's when I was about 255, 253, and I played the rest of my career around that weight. So it was unbelievable. So yeah, I've been through that. It is a shocker. And that first year, 04, training camp, we had guys going down with hamstring injuries and everything. But once you got used to it, it became the norm. The guys that can't get used to it, they'll be replaced. Yeah. That's just how it is. So because the coach is going to demand that out of them. You don't, when the ball's thrown, you don't turn and watch. You run to the ball. That's it. They'll understand it a little different, and it will be different. There won't be any fat on any guy. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, and Lovie Smith liked to use acronyms. He used loaf and things like that. And Eberflus is doing, he even used loaf as one of the acronyms. Do players find that hokey, or is that just something? It feels like, I go back to Bears Twitter, and everybody's trying to nitpick everything. It doesn't bother me that he uses it. I think it's kind of cool, and I think it's like a good sign to get back to football.
Right. I mean, that's how you identify something negative. I mean, nobody wants loafs. as a player. Nobody wants those. So a loaf is a change of speed. You should be full speed all the time. If you have a change of speed running to the player, like you're running after a player and then you change and go faster because earlier in that play, you thought he was going to be tackled. Then all of a sudden he wasn't. Now you got to speed up to try to go catch it. Well, that's a loaf. Even if you go make the tackle, it's still a loaf. So if you compile too many of those, well, that's negative football. So you can't play negative football. You got 10 guys, 11 guys running to the ball. When they fumble, you get that fumble as opposed to the offense recovering a fumble. So that's why you want all the guys around the football. I put up a little 15-second video of the Bears, of us playing the Vikings, and Travis Taylor caught a pass out in the flat, and it was like 10 guys hit him. It was unbelievable. And that was the mentality. And if we get back to that, we have the talent on this team to do exactly what Lovie did, which is come in 2004 on a very poor team, and then 2 years later, we're sitting in a Super Bowl or making that Super Bowl run. So I think we have the talent on this football team.
I would absolutely agree with that. And before we do have some questions coming in from the audience, but I do want to ask you real quick, because I mentioned it off the top. Lovie Smith is back as the head coach of the Houston Texans. What did you think about that when you heard that he was going to be given another opportunity here in the league?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I was actually one of the guys saying that, well, the Bears should actually give him a call, because I think that type of, not many people teach that type of mentality. I mean, if you follow Lovie Smith, when he was at the Bears, we were somewhere in the top of takeaways. When he went down to U of I, it was the same thing. They were in the top 10 in takeaways. That is something he preached, because now he's at Houston, and he's been there for a year, but in a little bit, he's going to change it, because he preaches it. And the way he preaches it, it honestly gets on your nerves. It honestly does, because it's one of those, every incomplete pass, every time the ball touches the ground, act like it's a fumble.
Yeah.
You pick it up and you return it as if you're returning it for a touchdown. So what does that mean? That means all the other 10 guys that don't have the ball, they got to go pick up a block, right? So that's even more running. So not only do I turn and I sprint to the football, if it hits the ground as an incomplete pass, then I got to go find a block and lead that guy to the end zone. It seems tedious. It seems like it's just a headache and he's just on you. But in the game, when it happens, it just, the switch just goes, and you turn and you get a block, and that guy, he's going for a touchdown. So during that time when Lovie was here, I'm pretty sure we scored more touchdowns probably since 85.
Oh my God. Mike Brown was scoring every time Mike Brown was healthy and on the field, he was scoring a touchdown.
Yes,
I felt like
absolutely.
to my recollection, I think he was second to Walter Payton in touchdown scored, or at least it felt that way. At least it felt that way. And that's the one thing. And a defense like that travels. That plays everywhere. It plays in domes. It plays at home. Plays on the road. And it beats teams like the Packers, which I'm looking forward to getting back to that at some point in the near future. Let's start taking some of these questions. I have other questions for you, but I want to make sure that people who are joining us here, Bear Down wants to know, Alex, do you know anything about the DL coach the Bears just hired? Yeah, we just hired a brand new defensive line coach. Do you have any intel on that?
No, none. None.
I was counting on you.
I'm honestly gonna. I can't wait. I don't want to go to, I guess, their past, because I think what he's running into right now, I don't think he's had that where he was at. Well, you got Quinn on one side, you got Khalil Mack. I'm not sure if Akeem Hicks is going to be there, but you still got Eddie Goldman. And then the most interesting guy for me is watch how Bilal Nichols plays in this. Watch how he plays, because that's him. He's not a 3-4 type of guy.
No.
He is a 4-3 technique, getting up the field like single gap. That's him. When you see him blow up this year and have 8.5 sacks, don't be shocked.
I'm not going to be shocked at all. I think that he's tremendously talented.
Yes, he's good.
I you know what, and it's, 2 years ago, Bobby Quinn signs with the team. And I know the sack numbers weren't good, but according to Next Gen Stats, he was top 10 in quarterback pressure rate, which I think a lot of people overlooked. And this year it translated to sacks. I think once you put him alongside a healthy Khalil Mack, that defense is going to be unleashed. And I think that defense is going to make them very competitive right off the top immediately, no matter what happens with Aaron Rodgers. By the way, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, we got to pull up this photo. Sammy, do we have the photo? We need a little bit of a backstory here. This is from your Instagram account. And first of all, I know that he loves to talk about how he owns the Bears and everything. Like, it wasn't always like that.
Right.
Why? What happened? What is going on in this play? Because I understand that you don't get credit for this sack.
No, I don't, because I kind of tilted it up a little bit, and my guy Adewale Ogunleye gets onto me a lot, because if you pan out and you see the whole play, he has his legs wrapped up, and then I come in over the top, and it's like, I don't get any of that sack. But the way I put it on my Instagram, it's a hell of a play. And it's on Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah. So that's the backstory of this. And every time he started following me, and then every time he sees it, he's like, seriously, when are you going to take that picture down?
Oh my gosh, really?
Or how about you pan out a little bit so everybody can see the entire play? And I'm like, no chance. No chance.
Never. Why would you ever? Listen, if you got to crop it, you got to crop it. Like, listen, that's a play that lives in infamy. By the way, I know this is the dumbest point to make, and you probably don't care one way or the other. I missed when the Bears wore all white uniforms, the white tops, the white bottoms. I always thought that was a cool look.
I don't. I didn't. No, I didn't. I truly didn't. That's actually the one I hated the most, because I thought it made me look even bigger than what I was.
Oh no.
No, seriously. I have a picture, like my first or second year, I'm in all white. Oh my gosh, I look like I'm 400 pounds. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I don't hate white on white. I hate it.
All right. Oh, listen, that's a little bit of insight. Maybe I know the fans love it, but perhaps that the players, they want to be very slimming. The black is very slimming. It makes more imposing. And I think of all the Devin Hester highlights with him with the dark pants, and you always think to yourself, like, okay, yeah, like that looks good. That looks like a good uniform. But in any event, let's go on to another fan question. We got one, Sammy. I got more, but we have more from the Sams. We talked about this, Max, but talk a little bit more about switching back to the 4-3. And I know that I don't know, like sometimes Bears fans get accused of living in the past too much, but I just really think that the 4-3 defense is just the way to go.
I do too. I think it's simpler. I think the players don't spend a whole lot of time thinking, and then what it truly does is puts a lot of pressure on the scouting department, because your four guys up front have to beat those guys. They have to beat them, and then it puts pressure on the training, the meal plan, because you have to understand that in a 4-3. We're talking about guys that are just no body fat. They run all day. We're talking about machines here. Whereas, yeah, you can have some crazy talented guys in a 3-4, but you don't need it. In a 4-3, if it's good, you need it. It has to be good. Like Lance Briggs, I bring up him all the time. When Lance would come to practice, or when he show up for training camp, if we were going to be pretty damn good the beginning of the year, because Lance would come in at 230, 235, and wow, just amazing. When he came in at 248, then it was like, okay, we got to wait till he get down a little bit, So, but like Urlacher was always in great shape. You got Ogunleye and Israel Adonijah, who they ate perfect all the time. Tommy Harris was a machine at what he ate, but it was just, we had the talent. So it put that emphasis on getting really good football players. So you didn't have, it wasn't trick 'em. There wasn't anything tricking about them. We were running this. How many times we went out to the game and we knew what we were going to run? Didn't matter. Yeah. Our 11 guys were going to beat the hell out of your 11 guys. That's just it. I like that type of football.
I do too. And I'm going to be somebody accused of living in the past, wanting to run a 4-3. But how does it help the secondary? Because I think one of the biggest issues the Bears are going to have, or people always point to, is that there's issues in the secondary. Can the switch to 4-3 help out the secondary?
If you got the horses up front, yes, because they know when he's going to throw the ball. I mean, Nathan Vasher was a hell of a player, don't get me wrong, but Nathan knew that there are no double moves. You know, if a receiver try to run a double move, the quarterback's going to get sacked. So he's jumping, slanting goes. They don't care about that. The slant, he's going to get it. He's going to get it, and you saw Nathan doing the hula and going to the Pro Bowl because he was picking it off, taking it to the house. So it makes guys believe what they see, trust your eyes, and then trust your defensive line. A lot of times we would go back if Peanut or Vasher or those guys got put in a bind and we gave up a big play, we'd go back to them and it's like, listen, my bad. Just keep doing what you're doing. We're going to get home. You know, like you got to go back because it all works together. That's what they're going to understand, that it all works together. If the defensive line is going, those corners don't have to come very long. If we're having problems, because you're going to run into offensive lines that are really good. So you can't. I mean, look at San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco put Trent Williams out there one-on-one with our guy, 94. Yeah, they put him out there one-on-one and turned the protection.
With Quinn, yeah.
Yeah, with Quinn. Damn, I couldn't think of that. And turned the protection to Khalil Mack and Hicks in that way. So if you got a guy that you can lead one-on-one, that puts a lot of pressure on those guys, on those three guys now to beat four, and that's hard. That's hard to do. So I am interested, though. I think I haven't heard many people talk about it, but Khalil Mack 4 years ago, I wouldn't be too concerned. But today's Khalil Mack in a 4-3 playing on the run side. So he's going to be playing on the side with the tight end. So he's going to be the one being double teamed all the time. Mm-hmm. I think that's a different beast than – I don't know if he can handle that. I really don't. So that is what I'll be watching in this 4-3 because he has to be able to handle that if they're going to be successful. Because we had Ogunleye, and he was fantastic at punching that tight end in the face and driving him back and then being able to anchor down when they came with that double team. So I'll be watching that pretty close.
Yeah. Do you have any update on him coming back from his injury or anything like that? Or has he spoken out or anything like that? Do we have any insight what he's up to these days?
No, I mean, I haven't had any insight on it. I saw that he was in Europe. Visiting the Coliseum, I saw that. We do have the same agent. We had the same agent. I still talk to the guy, but he's not really my agent because he don't make any money off of me. So I don't know if I can really call him my agent anymore. Right. Yeah, I understand. So, but I mean, I'll definitely reach out to him as the season gets closer, just to see what he thinks. If he's gonna be 100%, or is he gonna hit 100% again? Because that's going to be key. Khalil needs to be as close to 100% as possible because as special as a player as he is, he's still not getting any younger. Yeah. So I think what we saw, and this is what we have like in our brain, and we want this every single week for Khalil Mack, is when he came here, that Green Bay game, we want that every week. Well, you're not going to get that every week, you know, and you're definitely not going to get it now because I think it's more of a 3 or 4 times a year than a weekly thing now because he's gotten older.
Yeah, that's very true. We got a question from John Hackett. If Mack is a question mark in the 4-3, why not get what we can for him right now? Why wouldn't they trade him away or let him go or do what you got to do?
I said that last year, honestly. I said it last year. I didn't think this team was going anywhere last year. I thought he had value last year, that someone would have actually gave up something for him. Not to say he doesn't have value now. It's just not as much, I would say. I don't know if we were in those talks when the Rams were talking to Denver about Von Miller, but we should have been because he can definitely do what Von Miller is doing. And we definitely are in a position where we need draft capital. So that would have helped a lot. But It didn't happen. So I don't know. I think he is a question mark. Maybe they don't think he's a question mark. I'm sure he doesn't because hell, he's made he made all pro at linebacker and defensive end in the same year. It's like, okay.
He's done it all. And I think that, if it was on this show, I know I've said, oh, by the way, I got to retweet this. I'm not bored or anything. I got to go back, make sure I'm tweeting this out to everybody. See, I have these responsibilities that they give me that I always shun because I'm too busy talking to you. I don't want to be on Twitter. That's what I do when my wife's trying to talk to me. That's when I'm on Twitter. But no, in all seriousness, I think that with Khalil Mack, moving him in April might not be the move because I don't think the value is going to be there. But I think that, if the Bears go into next season and it's apparent that they're not going to make the playoffs or they're not going to make a deep run of the playoffs, that they could be in a very similar position to what Denver was this year, to where Khalil Mack goes to a contender. Like, let's say next season, the Cleveland Browns are doing really well, but they need that edge rusher. They need somebody else, like an extra body. I think that's when somebody like Khalil Mack has a lot of value. So we might not even get a draft pick for him till 2023. So that could be a little bit of an issue.
Yep. No, I can definitely see that. They didn't somebody that needs that pass rusher that might get them over the hump. And if indeed that the Rams actually go out and finish this thing, then I think it'll be thought of even more as something that has been successful for other teams, and recency bias might just fall in our favor on that one.
Yeah, you know what? And it's because the NFL is a copycat league.
No doubt.
And I think Tampa Bay did it a little bit 2 years ago. They obviously brought in Tom Brady, but they didn't stop there. They brought in Gronkowski. They brought in Antonio Brown. I know they kept, Ndamukong Suh. He had his best 2 years in recent time because playing with that defense and everything. I really do believe that the NFL could start shifting in that direction where we get these teams that when you get a short window of opportunity to go out there and win, you go take advantage of it. And thankfully, to our benefit, the Packers haven't done that, and they've let Aaron Rodgers just kind of wallow. They never trade for anybody. Like, keep doing what you're doing, Green Bay. Love to see it.
You know what? I've said since he was drafted to Minnesota that, oh my gosh, how much of a headache would we have had the Packers taken Justin Jefferson? Oh my gosh.
It's insane. I don't understand. I've said this time and time again, and I know the Packer fans love to get up here and act. They love to think that they are the Lakers of the NFL. And it's like, bro, you're the Mavericks. You've had this generational talent, and he's gone out there and he's won as many NFC titles as Rex Grossman. No disrespect if you're friends with Rex. I apologize.
Yep.
He's
actually my best friend. He's like my half brother, but it's okay. I mean,
I don't mean that. I know you're Florida guys. I don't mean that in a bad way. Listen, listen, if Rex was in front of me, I'd be like, I would wilt and be like, oh, sir, pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm sorry that but as the guy who sits here and does this for entertainment, I'm like, oh, did I make my jokes? This is what I do. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, no disrespect with all due, but again, he's won as much as you, Aaron. And that's the thing. And you know what? That's the one thing about Lovie too, that always irks me is that you look at what Mike Holmgren, Mike McCarthy, all these guys, like their resume and Lovie's resume is very similar.
Yes.
And if by the grace of God, if we would have been able to beat the Colts in that Super Bowl, then Lovie Smith's resume would be on par with all those guys. And yet but still people want to act like Lovie can't coach, and it just bothers me and it boggles my mind. So I'm, again, going back to a point that we made earlier. I'm just so happy that he's back in the NFL.
Me too. I'm very happy. I do hope that because he had a lot of the situation, like even at the Bears and then when he went to Tampa and now even at the Texans, he's had the same issue. And it was at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's like, gosh, if he can get that fixed, like just if he can have a team that has the quarterback position fixed. And with Rex, I think Rex got hurt. Like he just got hurt all the time. Like he played one full season. I mean, and you can't get hurt. I mean, you gotta somehow stay healthy to be able to play in this league. So, but with Jameis, that was terrible. And now whatever's going on with the Houston quarterback situation. So with Jay Cutler, I mean, gosh, like you get handcuffed by a huge contract and all the draft capital we put into that. Like it was hard, man. That was tough. So he still was able to put together really good teams.
The teams were good every year. Like that, there was never a lack of effort. Like that is the one thing that I think we should all remember. Like if you want to come back and pretend that Lovie wasn't a good coach, that's ridiculous, but okay. Like you could never fault the effort of the team. Like always competitive, always in the playoff hunt, like things that would now be considered a luxury. Like we made the playoffs. I hope you don't mind me saying we all the time.
No,
but 2018, a different beast because that was a decent team. Good team. That's a good team. That was a good team. But then the other ones, like the other 8-8 team, the 8-8 team that made the playoffs, and then whatever. You're like, there just was nothing there. Like you didn't feel like you're watching a team that was given a great effort. Not that the players were dogging it, but it's just like, I don't know. Lovie's teams were just different. They just performed differently. And I think in Tampa Bay, they got rid of, once they got a quarterback, they got rid of Lovie. Instead of getting him an offensive coordinator, they brought in Dirk Cutter. Like why did you think that was going to work? Like it didn't work at ASU. It didn't work wherever, in Atlanta, wherever he was. Mm-hmm. This was a guy that took over for Dan Hawkins at Boise State and somehow was being granted an NFL head coaching job when he'd done nothing anywhere.
Nothing.
I'm upset, Alex. It makes me furious. But let me see if we have any more questions because I want to make sure. I don't want to ignore people. I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest, obviously. But I'm hearing that we could get DeVante Adams. I don't know where JF1 Bears Forever is hearing this, but on a scale of 1 to 100, how hyped would you be if we could actually go out and get DeVante Adams?
I'd first think, how much do we have to give up?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Even if he was a free agent.
Yeah, like one, that's the first thought. The next thought is, I think that DeVante Adams is the best receiver in football when he has Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football.
Yeah. I
don't think he can do that with a subpar type of quarterback. I just don't. I think Aaron Rodgers puts the ball on the money every time. Like, yeah, I've had this argument. I'm not going to say at the bar. I'm going to say down in my basement a number of times that Jerry Rice, I think, is one of the greatest receivers ever. Just put him as the greatest ever. Well, hell, he had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing him the football. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jerry, but
no, not at all.
I mean, Randy Moss, I saw, and Randy Moss was pretty dang good. Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce was a lot better than what people give him credit because they didn't have the great quarterback play early on in his career. It's just I don't know. That's how I see it. I do believe Jerry Rice is one of the greatest ever.
Yeah,
but for people to just stamp him as the GOAT, greatest of all time, I think there's something to say about the 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing to him.
100%. And you know what? I know a lot of people like to point that out. I will say this. Montana won 2 Super Bowls before Jerry Rice was ever drafted on that team. Jerry Rice did not win a Super Bowl with Rich Gannon or any of those other players. I know he went out there and performed well. He's great. He's one of the all-time greats, the best to ever do it. But I'm always a little hesitant to call him the GOAT, like the greatest player of all time. I'm like, listen, if it's obviously Walter Payton, if it's not Walter Payton, if you want to bring Jim Brown into this, I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it. I'll listen to that conversation. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to agree with it, but I'll listen to it. Walter Payton, there was nobody ever who did more with less than Walter Payton, who took a team that was not good, no quarterback, nothing, and still was out there rushing for 14 to 1,600 yards a year. So I'm not about to hear it. So I agree with you. And I agree with you with DeVante Adams. Like, we probably both feel that Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. But why would you invest any sort of draft capital or any sort of big contract in a wide receiver right now? Why wouldn't you wait at least one more year? Like, be realistic about this. Like, try to get the most and maximize your enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to go to the movies, don't show up 3 hours before the previews start. You show up right when the picture's going. And I think that's what we need to do. But what about thoughts on Calvin Ridley possibly coming to the Bears? Because I feel like the price for Calvin Ridley is considerably cheaper. He's not going to cost you the money. I don't think he's going to fetch the draft picks that a lot of people think that he's going to be bringing in. So what would you think about somebody like Calvin Ridley?
I need to bring him in. And this is, we're talking about this as if I'm the general manager. So I need to bring him in. I need to talk to him. I need to see how much he loves football. Because I don't know what the hell happened this past year. I don't know what happened, but I need to know if you're going to play for my football team. I need to know what's going on. Are you good? Are you good? Are you ready to go? If there are issues, I totally understand that. Everybody on the team has personal issues. You know what I mean? So I don't really just put that to the side and say, well, yeah, go take care of your stuff. No, we still got a job to do here. And I need to be able to count on you if we're going to invest X amount of our salary cap into you. So I need to have a conversation with him. I like the talent. True, I like the talent. I think we could get him, like you said, a much cheaper price, and not so far off the table as far as production than a DeVante Adams. So I like it, but I would have to have a conversation with him.
Yeah, I would want to make sure that he's committed, ready to go. I think that he is one of the most talented guys in the league when he's healthy and available. But again, it comes down to the player. And listen, no disrespect. If you do not want to play football, like people retire. Like it's okay. Like it's not like you shouldn't be ashamed or anything like that. It's difficult to put your body into that situation week in and week out. So it's a very fair question to ask. And, and if you could get a satisfactory answer that he wants to play and continue, then I would be willing to look at it, but I'm not giving up a high draft pick for it or anything like that. I know people will throw around like, well, we don't have a first. You're like, you would never give up a first round pick for Calvin Ridley. Like this wouldn't happen. Even the Eagles, who have 3 first round picks, like even one of those, like they're too precious. You don't want to give those away. So,
no, you don't.
All right. Do we have any? What else do we have, Sammy? Do we have some other questions? Because I have some other things. If not, okay. For AB, with a new look, NFC North, will the Bears have a chance to make the playoffs next season?
Ooh, man. Yes. I mean, yeah, they have a chance. But the first and foremost, you have to win your division. That has to be the thought. Win your division because that's the easiest way into the playoffs. Okay? You win your division. Now, you don't control what the other teams do. So whether or not DeVante Adams is here, whether or not Rodgers is here, I don't know what Minnesota's going to do at their quarterback position, but they seem like they love Kirk Cousins.
They love Kirk Cousins. They love him.
They keep loving Kirk. But I would be more concerned with just our team learning and understanding the system. I am a big believer, and I've been through it, from that bigger type defense to a thinner, faster, meaner type defense. I shouldn't say meaner because that suggests that 3-4 isn't mean. They are mean. But you need to be a little thinner. I'd give it 2 years. I give it 2 years, and I'm telling you, you'll see this Bears team, if these guys buy in and we make a couple really solid picks. Just think about what the Bears did in 04, 05. You get Tommy Harris, you go and get Tank Johnson in 04. Ian Scott is already here. 05, you turn around and you 06, you bring in Mark Anderson, you get Devin Hester, Like, you start putting together these pieces, you bring in a Daniel Manning. Like, these guys are really good, and it's not necessarily the superstars you have on the team. It's the dip that it takes when that superstar is tired, because nobody plays 100% of the plays outside of the quarterbacks. I mean, you know what?
Right.
Offensive lineman, because I was going to get a text from Olin on that one. So
don't.
offensive linemen, they play all the plays. Defensively, it's that next guy. If you remember, and I know you will, Rank, that when we played Carolina in 2005 and they threw that touchdown late in the game to Steve Smith, Peanut wasn't on the field.
Nope.
It was the backup. He fell down out. I mean, Steve Smith ran a go route. He just fell down. Like, how the hell do you fall? And that's, you don't want to.
I've heard Steve tell this story. He tells a much different version, but yes.
That guy, he fell down. I mean, it was a mismatch, of course, but Peanut's tired or whatever was going on, he had to come off the field. Or you get in a Super Bowl, and now you got a rookie in there.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and Daniel Manning, and it's just like the miscommunication happens. So, like, give it a year. So maybe not next year, but I fully expect to be in the running and at the end of the season be there to win the division or an opportunity to win the division in 2 years. Fully expect it.
I agree. You know what? Because they're going to have to figure out, and it goes back to the conversation we had about you being on the beach in Puerto Rico. You obviously responded. And even though you responded positively, it took you 2 years to get ready. There are going to be some guys this is not going to work with. They're not going to be ready to go. They're not going to be in shape. Maybe Khalil Mack is not going to be able to play in the 4-3 anymore. And that's fine. And there's like no disrespect to anybody for whatever. There's just going to be a little bit of a change. So I think that the most optimistic view for the Bears next season is that Justin continues to develop, which is great. And if they make the playoffs, it'll probably be similar to what we saw out of the Philadelphia Eagles this year, where first couple of weeks of the season, it looked like Nick Sirianni didn't know what he was doing. And you're like, but with the Eagles being the market for another coach, then they turned it around. And honestly, the NFC could be a lot weaker next year, especially if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, if Russell Wilson goes to Pittsburgh or whatever it is. Like it could be open that they could sneak in as the 7th seed. They naggy their way into the playoffs. But I don't think that they would be serious. I agree with you. I don't think that serious contenders can't happen until at least 2 years from right now.
Would you, like, I keep hearing that about Rodgers and Denver, and I've been hearing it for a little bit. It's like, why would you go to Denver? Now you got to fight. Now you got to fight Kansas City. You got San Diego right on their tail. Like, the AFC is insane. Burrow and that young group, they're in the Super Bowl right now. Why would you go to the AFC? I don't, like, if you're Rodgers, what are you thinking if you do that? Because you have to beat a lot of really, really good teams to get there.
You know what? I've actually changed my tune for that very reason. And we brought this up on Good Morning Football. I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was filling in for D'Angelo Hall. And I said, or maybe it was last week. I don't know. They're starting to run together. But I'm like, I think that Rodgers is savvy enough to not win playoff games, but to also be able to read situations like that. Like, why would you? Like, you get to battle Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. I think Justin Fields is going to be very good, but he's going to be in his second season, first year with a brand new offense. So, you know what? Like, why would you leave that situation? You know they're going to franchise tag DeVante Adams. So it's like, okay, like, I would come back. Like, and by the way, if Tom Brady doesn't return, I know he's kind of floated the never say never. And I think the fact that Byron Leftwich did not go to take the head coaching job in Jacksonville could actually bring Tom Brady back, because I just don't think that he wanted to deal with Bruce Arians one-on-one. Like, he needed that Leftwich buffer in between them. So I don't know. I'm not predicting anything, but I'm just like something to keep an eye on. But I think that Rodgers will look at it, and obviously Drew Brees has retired in recent years. The Rams will be coming off a Super Bowl run, and we know that these teams hit the Buccaneers did it this year. They ran into a little bit of a Super Bowl wall. So I think Rodgers is smart enough to be like, my best chance to win is to stay in the NFC. Let's do a last dance, which, by the way, Aaron, you can stop. Again, stop comparing yourself to Chicago. Stop comparing yourself to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan never lost the finals. Michael Jordan was 6-0, multiple MVPs. Like, stop it. You're a regular season. You're Terry Cummings. Like, I don't know. Like, knock it off. I was trying to think of a Milwaukee Buck that never won.
He's Peyton Manning prior to 06.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, I've been dying to ask this question. You just gave me the entryway. And listen, because again, you talk about like Steve Smith has a story about 2005. Reggie Wayne. Oh my God, I love Reggie Wayne. But his stories about the Super Bowl, I'm like, I know you were involved in the game, but you can't seriously believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. Now, you win the NFC Championship game. You beat the New Orleans Saints. The Patriots are up 21-3 on the Colts in the AFC Championship game. Were you, and you don't have to answer this, but I would just be curious, were you or were you not relieved that you were facing the Colts instead of the Patriots?
No way. Okay, so there's two different things that happen here. First off, I'm sitting there watching the game with Lovie Smith we're in a steakhouse. Oh gosh, oh man. But it'll come to me. It'll come to me. But we're sitting there watching it, and we had played New England at their place earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
We took the ball away 5 times. We had 5 turnovers on our offense, or 5 or 6 on offense. We thought we could beat them. Now, defensively, I hate being in my stance for 32 seconds. And that's what you get with Peyton Manning. There's a huddle, he gets to the line, there's a hot, and then you got your Omaha coming, and but you're in your stance. I hate that.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't care, but if I could choose, we had already played New England.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought and it was at their place. I believe we could have beat them. I actually think we should have beat Indy. But
100%.
With a Peyton Manning led football team, when you give up 200 yards rushing, you're not going to win. And that's what we did. We gave up over 200 yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And for some reason, now this tells you how good our team was. We gave up 200 yards rushing. We had a touchdown where the guy, Reggie Wayne, was running wide open. He didn't make any crazy move.
Nothing.
He was shocked. He was wide open, okay? Shocked. Yeah. And Tank Johnson had Peyton here. He just kind of threw it up because he was so open. But, you go through that game, and with 3 minutes to go in the game, you have the ball, and we're only down 22-17. If we score a touchdown, we win the Super Bowl. With everything bad that had happened, I think that's just a testament of how good our football team really was. So I think we had the best defense. I think we had the best special teams. And when you look back on that offense, the offense was actually tied with New England at 27.2 points, if I'm not mistaken, for second place in the NFL. So our offense was good. Our defense was good. Our special teams was fantastic. So I thought we had the best team. It's not basketball. It's not baseball. You don't get to play a 7-game series. It's one day. So I promise you, everybody in Chicago, if Peyton Manning had caught a stomach flu that morning, nobody in Chicago would give a damn.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I was thinking about that game, too, because Devin Hester has the return. You intercept Peyton Manning, I think it's the next offensive play. Oh, my gosh. I thought the game, I'm like, it's over. I was wearing my dad's starter jacket. We spilled Tecates on it because there was a table. Because once Devin returns that ball, a table gets flipped at the bar that we're at. Things go crazy. Things are going off. But in any event, I don't know. I don't want to bring up old stuff. It's still a fond memory, but still. What about any more questions? I know I've been ignoring the questions. I don't know how many we got. Why does this Wi-Fi suddenly look crystal clear? What did you do? How is that possible?
You know what? So Cuz and I, we have a show together, and my Wi-Fi always messes up. And I went and talked to AT&T about it, and I told them, listen, what I've heard is that Comcast is coming. They're coming to the area. Rest assured, I'm gone. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe they gave me a little more juice tonight. You know, they heard I was going to be with Rank, you know?
It is amazing, the stuff that you do with Bear Down Cuz. Now, we had Mikey on last week, too. I'm just picking up everything. Obviously, I like to think of us all as one big family, so I do appreciate you coming on. I'm glad your Wi-Fi works better for me. I mean, that's just, that's the way it goes, Mikey. That's exactly what we're going to do. Let's take a moment, though. I want to talk to you. I want to go back to the Bears hiring. Do we have the graphic of the Bears hires? Because I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I think that, one of the things I really love is everything that's going on with the NFL. And there's a big talk about diversity. And I know that Lovie Smith was the coach for a long time here, but I think that when you look at the Bears organization right now, and you look at these hires, to me, when you have a general manager who's black, the franchise quarterback for the first time in club history is black. I know we've had Cordell Stewart and Vince Evans play there for a while, but our franchise quarterback is black. Our defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, is black. I think this is a good thing for a charter franchise. What does it mean for you as a former player?
I like to see it. I mean, but I like more that I'd like to lean towards they got the guy they believe was best for the job. Yeah. And that's the way I would like for people to see it. Not that they're filling a quota or they're trying to be different in a way. Yeah. It's these guys were the best guys available for the job that we wanted. And we drafted them. They just happened to be black. That's how I would like it to be seen. But a sense of I don't want to say pride, but a sense of like that things are moving, because when you look at the head coaching jobs in the NFL, there's crazy discrepancy, and there should be more. I mean, black coaches should be in this NFL. I mean, Lovie, it shouldn't take Lovie. It shouldn't take Lovie as long to get another head coaching job when Dennis Allen went out and stunk at Denver, and now he has another job. Another head coaching job. It's just he was at the Saints when I was there, and goes and gets a head coaching job and then leaves, and then now all of a sudden he has another one. And Lovie just got an opportunity where he had to go back to college, come back through, be an assistant, and then get a head coaching job. So I just think it's different. I mean, you look at Mike Tomlin's story and being the DC at Minnesota for 1 year. Well, hell, he was coaching for 12, 14 years prior to that. Yeah. It just so happened he blew him away in the interview and got an opportunity to coach, and then did a really good job and I shouldn't say really. He did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal at Pittsburgh. So you see other coaches that aren't getting that chance. I don't understand why Eric Bieniemy is not getting the opportunity. I don't understand why other black coaches aren't getting the opportunity. But when they do get it, I don't want it to be looked at as their black coaches getting hired. Right. Coach for the job being hired. That's what I would like for it to be.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely correct. And I do feel that, the Bears just went out and hired the best guys. And I guess that's another bigger point about it, is that none of it seems forced. Right. None of it, like Ryan Poles is a great candidate, and I'm glad that, we're not sitting here at the end of the hiring cycle asking ourselves the question, why didn't he get an opportunity? And I think it's great that Alan Williams, it just seemed like the next man up, and it just makes perfect sense. And it doesn't seem forced or anything like that. It just seems like somebody is ready for that opportunity. I just, I agree with, I know what you're saying. Like, you don't want to think that pride is the wrong word to use for it, but you do like to see, like, okay, there is some positivity. There are some coaches that are getting a chance. I'm glad it's with the Bears, and I like the way that the team is set up. And I do like the fact that we got a lot of our first hires. Were you one of the people, like, how did you feel like when Harbaugh came out, were
Mhm.
you a pro Harbaugh person? Because I mean, I kind of I like Harbaugh. I
Mhm.
think Harbaugh was great in the NFL, but whenever you hear something like 10 years, 100 mil, like, no. I can't do anything like that.
Well, they want that commitment. They want that time, right? They want that time to be able to build a team. So if I'm on the other side, yeah, I want that time. Give me that 10 years so I don't feel that pressure to like do something tomorrow or the next 2 years. I mean, we're right there in Chicago. I mean, you understand that when the Cubs, and I know I'm going to baseball here, but when the Cubs general manager came in and he came out in front of all the fans his first week on the job and say, hey guys, listen, it's going to take a few years. We might suck the first 2 years, but we're going to win a championship. You can't do that in the NFL. No, like if you don't turn it around right away, I mean, just look at the New York Giants. I mean, they're already trying to find a new coach. Like it's just like it's always you got to do something quickly. I mean, Lovie Smith was great. We almost didn't get to see Lovie like play it out because hell, we started out 2005 1-3.
Yeah.
If we continue down that road, he doesn't make it to 06 where we eventually get to a Super Bowl. So it's so you have to do things. They want that in the NFL. They want that quick satisfaction. They want that quick turnaround. And when they see it happen, then they believe, okay, I know it can happen. I need you to do it. It's like, well, I mean, I want the 10 years. As far as Harbaugh, I like a coach. You look at his history. I mean, he's a hell of a coach. So I never played for him. So I don't know how he is in that aspect, how it is to play for a guy like that. But I love Sean Payton, but I don't want to play for Sean anymore. Like them 2-a-days, I can't do. I can't do it anymore. Oh man, and 110 degrees down in New Orleans. Now I'm good. I'm good.
Not going to happen. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of those things too. But I guess it's like anything. You know, there's a lot of things I would love to do, but sometimes they give you the price tag. You're like, no, I'm okay. Bottle service in Las Vegas sounds like a lot of fun, but when they tell you it's going to be like, you know, $800 for a bottle of Grey Goose, no, I'm good. I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm going to go over to O'Shea's and pay $1 for a Michelob Ultra. I'm going to be okay.
This same Grey Goose that's $38 in Walgreens, you're charging me $800? No, I'm good.
We're not having it. But I do think, like, with the way everything is set up, it does feel like an organization that has a definitive plan. Yes. They're moving forward. They've expanded the front office. They've expanded other parts of it. So I always want to give Chicago the benefit of the doubt that if they came out and they were, let's say they were below 500, but there were signs like Justin Fields is developing. The defense is playing hard. There's just a little bit of bad luck that maybe Chicago would give them the benefit of the doubt. But then I know at the same time, there'll be a coach to be like, Eberflus needs to be fired if he doesn't win 11 games this year.
I think for the, if you look at how the defense is built right now, I think we do need to see some success pretty early because I understand what Robert Quinn did this year, but he's in his third. Look at Khalil Mack. We talked about that earlier. He's getting a little older as well. When Lovie came in here, hell, we were 25, 26 years old. Like, that's where we were. We're in the prime of our career. So I think if you don't see anything in the next 2 years, you're starting to see guys leave. Yeah. You start to see guys because you can't keep them. You know, you can't keep them. And hell, at some point, we have to pay Smith.
Yeah.
And not getting cheaper. So we have to pay him at some point. So by that time, if you're now you're going to be looking at Jalen Johnson, and he's going to be looking at getting paid as one of the top corners in the league. So
yeah,
that money has to come from somewhere, and that salary cap is going to be what it is. So,
and maybe Thomas Graham starts playing well, too.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
I got excited now. I always downplay it, like, we won't be good, and then you're like, oh wait, no, but there is good players because like nickel corner is a spot that is an important part of this defense, and if Thomas Graham could come in and play the nickel corner, now you're like, okay, we got Roquan, we got the nickel. We got a pass rusher. Like, they should be good defensively and should, we should go back to beating the Vikings and Lions within no time. And so maybe split with the Packers. Now I'm talking myself into the playoffs. This is what you did to me.
Ricky Manning Jr. 4-3 defense over in Carolina. They went to the Super Bowl. Came to the Bears, went to the Super Bowl. 4-3. That is a very, very important position in a 4-3 defense. You need a guy that can play it, that can make plays at that position. If you have it, obviously there's other things you need, but you need that 3 technique. You need that middle linebacker and a safety. So you need a big-time player at each level, but that nickel position is a very important piece. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Sammy, were there any more questions? Do we have time for one more? If not, I've got one. Okay. Question, is it justified or just paranoia to be worried about Justin Fields?
No, I wouldn't be worried. I mean, I actually worried at all. I'm still enamored with his talent, with how talented the kid is, and how high I believe the ceiling is with the proper coaching and him becoming an NFL quarterback. So I don't think he got that this year. I mean, I don't go any further than I think it was the 5th or 6th game of the season when he went out and played against Cleveland. And from the day you drafted him, you didn't have anybody else like him. Yeah. So Foles isn't like him, and Andy Dalton damn sure ain't like him. Like nothing. So there has to be a package for him. And he went out in that game, and it seemed like the coach had nothing for him and didn't adjust at all. So I don't think this past season did him any justice. I don't think it did him any favors. Maybe learning what not to do. But hopefully we got a new coaching staff in, and we can actually teach him how to play quarterback in this league. I think we have a pretty good number 2 receiver, and Emmanuel Moody, or
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney, sorry. And Darnell Mooney. So, like, I think he's pretty good. I don't know about Cole Kmet. I really want to see, like, I know, and everybody probably wants it. Like, I really want to see Kittle. I really want to see a Kelsey. Like, any move he make, give me a Kelsey every now and then. And I just never see it. I see a cleaner cut Adam Shaheen. That's what I see. I see a stiff body that, he can make some plays, but he's never going to be that big-time playmaker at the position. So are we still looking for one? Like, I don't know. That's something, too. I would ask you.
I know. I wonder if Horston's actually a better player. If that's the guy that we should be looking at. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like he has. I mean, if you look at the tight ends that were making the better plays, it was Horsted. Jesse James had some nice catches. When you look at the Justin Fields highlight reel, I do want to pull up this one quote by Justin Fields, if Sammy can show that. I thought this is the one thing that I really love about Justin Fields is that the leadership role, to me, I think is immense. I think that the one thing that really strikes me about him, like when you saw, and again, I don't want to disrespect Mitch Trubisky or anything like that. There was something about Mitch where it was like, I don't know, like you're watching Friday Night Lights or something, and you're watching an actor reciting lines of what a quarterback should say. When I read these from Justin Fields and I see his mannerisms and I see his demeanor, I feel like he's a real quarterback. Is that fair?
Yes. I think you see a guy that believes in himself. Go back to their draft day when Mitch was the only person. No, he was shocked too. There wasn't anybody not shocked that he got picked at 2. Nobody. And he came out and said it. Like he was shocked that he got picked. This kid right here was shocked that he got picked where he got picked.
Yeah,
like,
he felt
he was the best quarterback. I live down outside of Atlanta now. Being in this area, you start to hear stuff about Fields, and you start to hear stuff about Lawrence when they were coming up. And every time he played Lawrence, he beat him.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like in in 7-on-7 as well, like in high school.
Everything.
Coming through every time. But he never got that, what Lawrence got, where he is unquestioned the top dog, right? So Lawrence was the top dog at Clemson, and he was deemed the best quarterback no matter what. So there's always that chip on his shoulder, and I think that's what we see. We see a chip on a kid's shoulder from Georgia. I mean, the kid works his butt off. He bets on himself. Like he betted on himself when he saw that what they were doing at Georgia with Jake Fromm. He knew he was better than Jake Fromm. I'm not going to sit on the bench for 2 more years watching Jake Fromm. He bets on himself, goes to Ohio State, and here we are. You know, so it's just I like everything about the kid. Great kid. From what I hear, grew up in a great family. He shows it, I think, on the field, that leadership you're talking about. We need that person in place to help him gradually become a better and better quarterback. And I think he's going to just take off. And we're going to have that quarterback we've all dreamed of in our lifetime with the Chicago Bears.
I agree with that. And that is probably the best place to end. By the way, they're turning off the lights behind me. I don't know if they're trying to give me a hint like, Rank, we need to go home. But by the way, I wanted to thank you so much for stopping by this evening. This has been a pleasure. Listen, when I first figured out that you were following me on Instagram, I started tripping like, this, because sometimes you feel like it's an accident. And then every once in a while, I noticed that like you would look at my stories and I'd be like, he might actually be following me for real. And then no, it's cool. No, like you're a former player. Awesome. You're somebody of importance. So you and Olin and all that, everybody does. You guys do a great job. I don't get a chance. Obviously, I don't live in Chicago, so I don't get a chance to see your show after the games. But I do love watching clips, and I love watching your guys' banter. It is one of the coolest things. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being on, and I hope we can do it again real soon.
Yep, I sure hope so. I really appreciate you having me on. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
And is there anything you need me to plug? Any social media handles or anything? I don't know. I'm used to people being like, I gotta come buy Tide for me or anything like that. If there's anything that I missed, let me know.
Listen, the fact that I'm on here, I'm good. Now, next time I'll have a list of stuff to plug, but this time, hey, I'm just happy I'm on, man. I really appreciate it. I truly do.
This one's on the house. All right, Alex Brown, the great, all-time great of the Chicago Bears. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks so much to everybody for joining us here tonight. We really do appreciate it. Thursday, we should be dropping a podcast. Listen, it's Super Bowl week. I'm super busy, but we're going to get it done. We're going to have Cash on. We're going to have a special guest. So until that time, we will see you. Sammy, why don't you play us out?
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.